Hi everyone, welcome to Learning with Rev. Today, I'm going to be teaching you guys the basics of list comprehension. List comprehension in Python is a way to create lists by iterating through elements in one line instead of doing for loops. So we're going to start off today with a list from 0 to 10, or from 1 to 10. Let's say we want to use this here and look for all the even numbers. So what we would do is normally we would create an empty list and we would iterate through it and we would check. If I is even, we could take the modulus of it. So it's something we're testing this symbol here, we're dividing and seeing what the remainder is. If it's even, that remainder should be 0. We're going to say b.append I. So we are iterating through every element of this list from 1 to 10. First thing we do is we check. If we divide it by 2, the remainder is 0. If yes, append it. If not, count to the next item. So we want to do b.append. Okay, that's a mistake on my fault. And now we can see, if we do b, you see 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10, and that's exactly what we were expecting. But this loop here took 3 lines. And in more complicated code, it might take you more lines to do this. And I'll show you an example in a minute. But how can we do this in one line? It's called list comprehension. So for now, we're going to set b equal to an array, or to a list. And within here, we can say I for I in a if I modulus 2 equals 0. It's like, that's a really weird syntax there. But we get our solution. So what's happening here is with list comprehension, we take an element, I for I, in a, if I is not equal, the modulus of I and 2 is not equal to 0. So this I for I is a little complicated, and I'll show you with a more complicated example why it's written that way. And we're going to do that right now. Let's say we have a new. I'll clear this out. And we're going to have we're going to have a list of lists. 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to put some bigger numbers in here now. 10, 32, let's see, 65, 12, and 33. Just some random numbers. And this is a list of lists. And we could try the for loop again. Do for I in A. This will return each sublist. So what we have to do is we need to do for j in I, and now we're going to beat each element. If the modulus of j in 2 equals 0, we are going to do b.append j. Okay, small mistake there, but that's okay. Everyone makes mistakes when they're coding, and that's okay. First thing I have to do here is I need to set b equal to an empty array, and boom. But our problem here is we've lost our 2 subarrays. They've just been put into one array. So one way we can fix this is by creating a temporary list inside of here. So if we just call this temp equals an empty array, and we're going to do temp.append here, and then once we finish iterating through I, we will set b.append append temp. Missed our indentation by 1 space, and now we're good. Perfect. If you look at it, we have our correct lists now. So what happens here is you go for I in A, and I'll print out I at the bottom here, so it's right here. So first time through is we take this first element, and we've created an empty list. And within this first element, we count through J. So we grab number 1, not divisible by 2, okay. Or the remainder is not 0. Take 2, is the remainder 0? Yes. We add it to this temp. And we do this all the way until we get to the end of this list here. Once we get to that end, we take this temporary array or list that we've just appended to and append that to B. And that's how we get 2 and 4. And then we go to the second sublist here and do the exact same thing and get 10, 32, and 12. But again, this is even uglier. So how can we solve this with list comprehension? Just like before, we can start with B equals, we're going to set it to empty array. You do not have to do this. I'm just going to do it to show you that B has nothing in it. So this one's a bit more complicated. We're going to say J for J in I if J is even. This isn't going to get us anywhere, but we're going to make that its own list for I in A. And that's what our result is. 2, 4, 10, 32, and 12. Now, why does this work? So for list comprehension, we kind of have to work backwards. So the first thing here, we're going to go to the right-hand side and we say I in A. So, okay, so for I in A, we have a first element and a second element. Okay, so within that, we are going to be looking through this here because we're going for I in A, and we're going to create a new list. Within this list, we're going to iterate through J. J for J in I, which is what we're in right now, if J is even. So it's literally building a new list right here out of this, but only if the elements are even. And look how simple this is. This is just one line. I know list comprehension can be very complicated. This is just a quick introduction. I hope you all learned a lot, and thank you all for watching. Please subscribe, like this video, and I'll see you next time.